94.7 WLS, John Records Landecker, my final show here on 94.7 WLS. Elton John has been getting awards for music for a long, long time. And some of his early awards were in the 1970s. And one of the awards was given here in Chicago at a luncheon at the Playboy Mansion when it was on North State Parkway. And I was invited to be the MC. So I obviously took up that invitation and brought my tape recorder, and there was a whole bunch of media there. But as the afternoon wore on, things got a little looser. And we ended up down in the game room of the Playboy Mansion. And Elton John, Bernie Taupin, Hugh Hefner, and his girlfriend at the time, Barbie Benton, started playing tabletop soccer. I guess that's the best explanation I can give it. It really doesn't matter. They were playing a game. I had the tape recorder on, and they really got into it.
A goal is scored by the team of Taupin and John.
Come on, baby.
It did not go in. It did not go in. A hot and heavy game.
Look out, look out.
No, it still refuses to go in. The team of John and Taupin having difficulty. They can make it to the 5-yard line, but they can't put it across, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, been my trouble. Oh, it gets tough down there in the final inches. Let's face it. It's getting very hot and heavy. The team of Elton John and Bernie Taupin now 2 points behind the team of Barbie Benton and Hugh Hefner. Another score. Another score has been made by the team of John and Taupin. It is now the team of Benton and Hefner leads by only 1 small point. The game is moving into its... Another score! Ladies and gentlemen, it's a tie game. We are heading into an exciting finale here in the basement of the North. Another score! Ladies and gentlemen, the game is over. The team of Elton John and Bernie Taupin has won. The handshakes are being made across the table and congratulatory remarks. A kiss from Elton to Barbie Benton. The game is over. We bring you a post-game interview with the winner. And the winning team this time was comprised of Elton John and Bernie Taupin.
Oh, shucks. It was really tough, we were 4 down, and Taupin was playing like an absolute bag of wind. And but all of a sudden, we had the British spirit, and we got ahead. We got 5 in a row, and Barbie and Hef just folded, and we were really lucky, because I really thought that we were in for the silver, but we just...
You did have to come from behind.
I always do. Yes, we did, didn't we?
Elton John behind the sunglasses, ladies and gentlemen.
It is indeed.
94.7 WLS, rocking the Casbah Clash with John Landecker, the final night of John Landecker at 94.7 WLS. Are you taping this one, Tony? All right, Tony Lasano, producer. Very nice. I have mentioned in interviews at other places about the camaraderie that WLS radio had in the mid-'70s and how we just all got along with one another and had the greatest time ever doing everything together, working, playing. We were there, we were together during the day, during the evening, and during the weekend. And this group added a member, and that was Pat O'Brien, who at the time was a reporter at Channel 5. And I'm sure you know, Pat O'Brien went on to be the first host of Access Hollywood. He did CBS Sports. He's covered Olympics. He's talked to presidents. He's done it all. And he wrote a book, I'll Be Back Right After This, by Pat O'Brien. Now, before I read a couple of these paragraphs, I have to thank Pat for faxing them to me because I forgot the book at home. And lo and behold, Pat left a message on my phone. And I called him back and I got his machine, whatever you want to call it, recording. So I explained to him that I had forgotten the book and would he please fax the relevant portions. And he did. So thank you, Pat. Here's what I was going to get to. Pat's talking about growing up coming to the Midwest, coming to Chicago, I quickly learned that in Chicago there were three mafias. The Mayor Daley Mafia, the Actual Mafia, and the WLS Radio Mafia. WLS was a 50,000-watt radio station that I listened to as a kid in South Dakota because the signal was so strong. It employed the legendary disc jockey Dick Biondi, whose voice and selection of song would turn any wide-eyed kid into a radio freak with dreams of being there. I was one of those kids, and I actually got to be there as the DJs of WLS, the Mighty 89, of the mid-'70s, adopted me as their pet TV guy. J.J. Jeffrey, who had a laugh that could never be matched, Bob Surratt, who became one of my best friends and had the ability, I thought, to do anything, and he did, and to round out our crowd, the night guy, John Records Landecker. We would go out with our wives and girlfriends on Friday night and rotate from one apartment to another, and we would drink and smoke pot until the sun came up. I still remember driving home as the sun rose glorious over the city of Chicago, counting the days until the next Friday. I don't think I have laughed as hard as we did since then. In his bestseller, Records Truly Is My Middle Name, John referred to our group as a clique. He left out a lot of details, probably because he's a grown-up now, but those were the days when we all never, ever wanted to grow up. I'll always love and cherish those guys for inviting me into their world and making me feel at home and almost making me die laughing. And you're probably saying to yourself, John, how did those evenings start?
If you have deduced that we are riding at this moment in Bob Surratt's automobile, you are correct. We're on our way, ladies and gentlemen, to a big time in Greektown. I have an impacted wisdom tooth, and I am going to be operated on. And that's also why I am not on the air now. Notice how well we come in. Great, that is the John Landecker program. What's that, Bob?
It's never sounded better to me.
Crowded downtown in Greektown, Saturday night at the Parthenon. Crowded, Pat O'Brien at Channel 5, NBC News.
For those of you right now in John Landecker's living room listening to this, look around and see how much better your situation is now than it was the night we recorded this.
A far-fetching observation there from Pat O'Brien.
It'll sound good the night we're stoned and we're sitting around your...
Pat, that thing...
Let me just say that we're not, because Pat mentions it on the same tape that I'm not advocating any stonation. Let's get the disclaimer on. If Pat wants to speak for his little news operation, that's fine.
Okay. And that is the absolute truth. The heaviest thing I ever saw Bob Surratt intake was either Green River or Yoo-Hoo, one or the other. He's as straight can be. And yet he still fit in. How'd he do that?
Hi, this is Robert Lamb.
Hi, this is Jason Sheff from the band Chicago.
94.7 WLS FM and WLS FM HD1, Chicago, a Cumulus station.
Hi, I'm Darryl Hall. And I'm John Oates.
I'm Dennis DeYoung from the band Styx.
Hi, it's Joe Walsh here on Chicago's Classic Hits, 94.7 WLS.
Easy, Tony, easy, relax. Relax, Tony. They're gonna applaud, see? All right, very good. Thank you very much.
La 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 la.
John Landecker's last show here on 94.7 WLS. I've established somewhat of a reputation for a few things. Records Truly Is My Middle Name. Don't be nervous, don't be rocky. You're a teenage guest disc jockey now. Boogie Check, and this Americana Panorama, which I wasn't going to even get into at all until yesterday. I had been invited by Steve Dahl to come in on, how appropriate, WLS AM at about 5:30, between 5:30 and 6 on Thursday. They do Dog Julian and Dog Nammit, Julian, sorry, great guitar player, Poi Dog Pondering, unbelievable. Anyway, they do this rock music challenge with someone where you'll play a riff of some song. And then, you guess what it is, if you can. And I was ready to do that and not even do anything about Americana Panorama until this happened.
When I was a kid, I used to love Americana Panorama.
Really?
And it was one of the, I remember I loved it so much that I actually tried to write one. It was like one of my first attempts at writing comedy. I just loved it so much.
You know what that is, Steve?
That bit I do not know.
What it was is it's a pun that ends in a record title.
Mm-hmm.
And that's it.
A long, elaborate...
There's a big setup with people going la, 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 and this whole little routine, and it could be about absolutely anything, and the more pot I smoke, the better. The better I thought I got.
Yeah. Well, there's a couple. I'm going to start off with a couple that I remember from the Americana Panorama. So here's the first one.
Jeez.
What, you want us to leave you guys alone for a while?
The Who I can see for miles.
There you go.
There you go. And that was about Buddy Miles sweating on stage, and someone had to come up and read his music for him.
And that was the American Panorama?
Yeah.
That person could see for miles. Wow, this is way better game than I thought.
It made me want to get high right there.
Because he's doing these songs based on these stories. This is insane. Okay.
Here's another one.
Dude, you're a legend. Come on, man.
Come
you
on.
deserve it.
Okay.
You'll never know how much I really love you.
Oh, God.
You'll never know how much
I want to know Secret of the Beatles.
There you go.
2-0, John.
And what was that one?
Oh, that was about
Sonny Liston. Wasn't it?
No, it was about
Sue Kretz.
Sue Kretz. Do you want to, Noah Sue Kretz?
That's awesome.
Yeah.
That's awesome that he did it, that you remember it, and then you made him remember it.
Right.
Something's wrong with that. Put your headphones on. Put your headphones on. Something's wrong with this. We only got one channel. It sounds like crap. Well, take that out. When we listened to it the other day, it was fine. What's wrong with it now? Well, don't shrug. It's radio. What's wrong with it now? I want to play. Do we have that in our regular library of stuff? So that's the deal. I wasn't planning on doing anything, and boy, did that... Well, I was humbled, surprised, amazed that somebody would remember so distinctly and in detail a story that had been told. I don't even want to tell you how many years ago. How we doing? What was... I want to know a secret. Can't you put it in or enter it as something? Like secret or wanna or... No, I don't want want ads by the Honeycomb. Sorry, we couldn't bring you the Beatles, but we'll bring you want ads by the Honeycomb. Wanted. Young, fast, single, ad free. Did it? Well, you know what? Never... well, nope. I think we're striking out on this. Go to... Will the computer play stereo if you go to YouTube? Are the Beatles on YouTube? You know what? Well, I'm playing on this ad. Oh! Yes!
You'll never know how much I really love you. You'll never know how much I really care.
All right! What are we listening to?
The Rock of Chicago. WLS.
Now, when we started... Okay, when I started, I hate that. When the show started, I said that, and I'll restate it, that I've been doing radio for 50 years. And that since I was a senior in high school, senior in high school. And, you know, what do you think about when you look back on your 50 years? Like, what's the best thing? Well, the people that I came in contact with. And I said I would like to feature them whenever possible, and I'm going to do that now. I think I sort of got off track about the salute to radio, didn't I? Oh, well. Hey, radio. we salute you. Snap through there, soldier. Okay, I almost forgot. One of the things I did at WLS in the 70s was an imitation of Richard Nixon, who was president. Actually, for those who can remember, there was a comedian named David Fry who did a great imitation, and what I did was an imitation of David Fry doing an imitation of Richard Nixon. And, of course, it was the Watergate and all of that. Now, I've said on many occasions, in fact, I said it earlier this evening, that in the 70s at WLS, in the mid-70s, that radio station was unbeatable, okay? It was the best radio station on earth, and I'm not kidding. And one of the reasons why was that everybody just meshed together and got along and had a good time. And I'm going to give you an example of that right now. In doing the Nixon shtick, one of the bits was called Press My Conference. There was a guy named Dickie Goodman who in, I don't know, the late 50s or 60s started what they called the Flying Saucer Records, where he'd tell these stories about Martians landing and then somehow a song title would fit in and they'd take a little clip from the song. You'll see what I mean in case you don't know what I'm talking about. So this is a press conference. The setting is a press conference for Richard Nixon. And let's see, how are we going to do this? Newsman Lyle Dean portrays the, Lyle Dean? Great guy. Newsman Lyle Dean portrays the unnamed announcer.
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Okay. Fred Winston. I sure hope we know Fred Winston. Fred Winston as...
Mr. President, Tweedle Wisniewski of Popular Mechanic.
And we all know little snot-nosed Tommy Edwards, right?
Melvin X Moon Unit of Boys Life magazine.
Now, here's a really cool story. Carl Davis as...
Mr. President, Yule Gibbons from Forrest or Din Din magazine.
I'm not going to explain what the bit is if you don't know who Carl... Okay, Carl Davis. Now, this underscores everything I've been saying about that radio station at that time. Carl Davis was a record turner. He was a member of the Chicago Musicians Union. And at that point in Chicago radio, the unions were strong. And the radio station was sent a record to play. A member, and this is the God's honest truth, a member of the Musicians Union had to put the record on a turntable and put the needle on a record. And then the member of the Engineering Union would make a tape of the record and then take it in to the studio where it would be played on the air by another engineer, not a disc jockey or radio announcer or whatever you want to call him. So that was Carl's job at WLS at that time. But he came to the station in the 1930s, okay, when it was the Prairie Farmer and there was all sorts of agriculture programming on the air. And he was a musician. He was a singer. He was a songwriter. He wrote something called Kentucky and another one called I'm Here to Get My Baby Out of Jail. But the idea that we would all be gathered in one spot and doing something together just for the fun of it, I mean, that's the example I'm trying to bring to you. And now on a completely different level, Linda Marshall as...
Mr. President.
Oh, yes.
Linda Shoelace from Variety.
And I have to say that this is one of the rare occasions that the physical presence of the person matches the voice 100%. Linda Marshall is hot. Seriously, smoking hot. The Tribune did an article on Bob Surratt, and she was the news person, and the Tribune writer described her with a heart-stopping figure. Yeah. Okay, enough of that, John. So what were all these people doing together?
Ladies and gentlemen, the President of the United States.
Let me make this perfectly clear. Ladies and gentlemen of the press, welcome to my
press conference. Ladies and gentlemen. Ladies and gentlemen. Thank you.
Mr. President, Tweedle Wisniewski of Popular Mechanics.
Yes, Mr. Popular Dweedle, what is your question?
In your opinion, what did John Dean do before the Watergate Committee?
We all know what he did.
And, Mr. President?
Yes, I am.
What have you done with your tax return?
We all know what I did.
Mr. President,
Yo.
Melvin X. Moon Unit of Boys Life magazine.
I read that.
Did former Attorney General John Mitchell ever tell you who was not involved in the Watergate cover-up?
Yes, he did.
Well, what did he say?
He said it was.
You and me.
What did you say to him?
I said.
Here I am, stuck in the middle with you.
Mr. President, Yul Gibbons from Forrest or Din Din magazine. Do I remind you of Wild Hickory Nuts? Some of us have noticed that H.R. Haldeman's hair is getting much longer. Would you care to comment on that? Let me make this perfectly clear. Mr. Haldeman's hair is getting much longer as your president. I have noticed a change in his entire philosophy. Yesterday, he told me,
I'm a joker, I'm a smoker, I'm a midnight toker.
Mr. President.
Oh yes.
Linda Shoelace from Variety.
You said it, sweetheart.
I have...
Something wrong with your throat?
I have the final question.
The final question! The final question!
Thank you.
E. Howard Hunt is now behind bars.
Yes, this is true.
What did he say as he entered the jail?
He turned to me with a tear in his eye and said,
I gotta go to the can, man.
94.7 WLS. I'm John Landecker. That's Beat It. Michael Jackson. This is the final John Landecker program until, who knows? Well, it's the final John Landecker program. I don't know what I was going to say there for a moment. I believe I'm crashing a bit. The adrenaline of doing this is beginning to set in. Sort of like the feeling you get in the back of your head when you've had too much coffee. So I want to make sure, because this is the only chance you get to do something like this, that I say a sincere thank you to the people that I work for and also the people I work with here. Dick Biondi. I'll go back to him in a minute. Greg Brown. Now, Greg and I have worked together before, and, you know, he's a very, what? I'm going to play that song we did together.
I know, but I just want to tell everybody.
You know the song? You know, Dick Biondi's Next, that rap song we did?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay. What?
I just want to tell everybody that we're losing a great talent, and I'm sure he'll be back on the air somewhere soon.
How do you know?
And everybody that I've talked to said to tell you they love you.
Oh.
And don't stay out there too long.
Okay.
Come on back, because you know how program directors are.
Tell me, Dick, how are they? This is your chance.
Good luck, John. God bless you.
Thanks, Dick. Oh, boy. Am I glad I'm not his boss. Okay, so Greg Brown, great guy. When I tell you that he starches everything that he wears, it's absolutely true. I got a chance to meet and become friends with Robert Murphy, who I'd not known before. Fantastic guy. Danny Lake, had never met him before. Friends. Brant Miller, known him forever. Forever. Joanne Jeanette, got to know her, and she decorated the studio tonight for my little going away the going away soiree. Boogie Check has not been mentioned until now, and because it's the one thing people ask me, usually two things. Is Records really your middle name? They still ask that. They absolutely still ask that. And I never intended that to be an ongoing bit. Because it was true, I thought everybody would believe it, and then that'd be the end of it. But apparently, what do I know? So I continually answer that, and also references the Boogie Check. Although one guy for the first time today said to me, out of the clear blue sky, he didn't ask my name or where I worked. He goes, hey, are you Don't Be Nervous, Don't Be Rocky, you're our teenage guest disc jockey now? I said, yeah, that's me. So Boogie Check deserves at least its place in this final show. And I'm not going to go through the whole reason that it came on the air, but I will tell you that at its time, AM rock stations in the United States did not take phone calls from listeners except to do a request or a dedication. And the feature was so distinctive at the time that Scott Simon of the NPR classic show, All Things Considered, came into the station. And Boogie Check was part of his report. We take you now. So this is going to be the most intellectual explanation of Boogie Check ever. We take you now to NPR and Scott Simon.
One special feature of John Landecker's time on air is what he calls the Boogie Check of life, where calls are answered live and then dispatched with a quip, a jeer, or simple slam.
Are you talking to me?
Yeah, I want to know where you live.
In Chicago.
Where in Chicago?
Why do you want to know?
I want to send you a letter.
What kind of letter? Right, the kind that explodes. Are you talking to me?
I have a collect call from John Stevens. Will you pay for the call?
Absolutely not. That's...
Thank you.
Are you talking to me?
Yes, I am.
Is that any way to say hello?
Good evening, John.
Say, who are you saying hello to tonight?
Good evening, Skokie.
Skokie. Hey.
Whoa, whoa.
What a controversial suburb. Are you talking to me?
Yes, I am.
About what?
What's your favorite rock group?
Stalactite.
What's that?
Stalactite. Mammoth Caves, Kentucky. Are you talking to me?
I sure am.
About what?
That sexy voice you have?
What about it?
It sounds good.
Well, how old are you?
38.
I guess it would.
Bang. And that was not altogether kind.
That's true. Quite frankly, saying to a 38-year-old person that you would is not funny in itself. However, in the context of saying it at that pace, hitting the line at that point, that is more entertaining than having it hang there by itself.
Is there a harshness to the humor in that, though, that everybody just kind of understands?
No, they don't understand it all that much.
I mean, is she likely to hang up and be shattered?
No, she knew she might be hung up on even getting into it. I do a disclaimer, if you noticed.
Yeah.
What follows has nothing to do with anyone's reality, most of all me. So if I hang up on you or give you a line, that doesn't mean that I really mean it.
Mm-hmm.
I'm only doing it in the sense of entertaining the radio audience at that point, you know? And anything. I will say anything.
You know, what a rockin' station we were at the time. You hear that song in the background? Too much, too little, too late. Who was that? Wasn't that like the Johnny Mathis and, I don't know, Adele Getty? I don't know. I can't remember. I thank you. I'm glad I don't remember who sang Too Much, Too Little, Too Late. Anyway, so that's the biggest load of BS you'll ever hear about Boogie Check. By the way, on a personal level, I would like to say hello to my daughter Amy and her friend Lauren, who are listening in California, and also my granddaughter Lola and her father Jackson Lynch, who are also listening in California. Coming up at 11 o'clock, of course, it'll be the Dick Biondi program. Now, a couple of years ago, I got my first, maybe it was 3 years ago, I got my first smartphone, right? First iPhone. So you start downloading all these crazy apps. And one of them was like a rap recording app. You know what I'm saying? So I'm sitting in here one night, and songs are playing on the air, and Dick comes in, and just out of nowhere, I push a button on the cell phone, okay, and do something. And it came out like this is John Landecker and Dick Biondi rapping together. DWA, DJs with Attitude. And the Dick Biondi is next rap.
Okay, I gotta sing thing. Okay, I gotta sing thing. Okay, I gotta sing thing.
say, it's the man, it's the myth, it's the legend.
Oh, would you stop with that?
Oh, I stopped with that. He doesn't like it at all, but he's Dick Beyond. And he's coming on next. 94.7 WLS, that's what it's all about. It's all about. Okay, I gotta say, it's the man, it's the myth, it's the legend.
Yeah. Oh, would you stop with that?
Oh, I stopped with that. He doesn't like it at all, but he's Dick Beyond. And he's coming on next.
Yep, that's right.
WLS,
That's right.
And he is on 94.7 WLS. All right, who invented putting video in cell phones? Tony, 94.7 WLS. How are you going to do this while... Okay, all right. John Landecker, the final minutes of the final show. Oh, what's he going to do? What's he going to say? Well, I can tell you this. There's not going to be any long, emotional... Oh, another shout-out to my granddaughter, Lola. That's part of the big ending. Who I'm going to see real soon, as a matter of fact. And that's one of the reasons I'm leaving. Where was I? Oh, there's going to be no big, long, emotional thing. You know, as a matter of fact, to help me close everything out, I'm calling upon the radio spirit of Wolfman Jack.
Well, there ain't no more, baby. Certainly had fun. My microphone had fun. My earphones had fun. My records had fun. The engineer had fun. Everybody here had fun. You folks just fun to be with. Be good to each other and love every single day. Come on, let's get on this love train and boogie on out of here. Thank everybody at WLS. Thank everybody in Chicago. Bye.
So, like...
Clap your hands.
All right.
All right.
Love train. Bob Surratt went on vacation. All right. Bob Surratt went on... Oh, jeez. Bob Surratt went on... I want to get a word in here. Bob Surratt...
The news is next.
No, the news is not next. How many times am I going to tell you? The news is not next. We don't do news anymore. All right. What was it? Where was I? Oh, Bob Surratt went on vacation. And Wolfman Jack came in to do the show. And I stuck around with the microphone, obviously. And I was also making a movie of it. So while he's doing... Yeah. So while he's doing this, Love Train is playing in his headphones. And then he'll cut the mic and you'll hear the song, you'll see. I want to thank everybody I ever worked with, everybody I ever worked for. I want to thank everybody who ever listened. I want to thank my wife, Nika, and everybody else I was ever married to.
Oh, prairie shit. Everybody.
Judy, Paula, and Laura. All right. Bye-bye. Be good to each other every single day.
Get one of my backside
WLS FM and WLS FM HD1, Chicago, a Cumulus station.
This is Tom Petty.
I'm Phil Collins. We're Genesis. Hi, this is Lou Graham of Foreigner.
Chicago's classic hits, 94.7.
Dick the DJ. Oh, his voice comes through so cool and clear. I just love having Dick next to my ear. Every day I turn him on, I've got Dickie on my mind. All day long, all day long, all day long. I got him on my mind all day long.
Okay, this is Dickie Tamale, and I'll be with you until whatever time we quit. We wish John Landecker the best, and we're going to start off with Billy Joel.